Hello there. I'm so super excited because we are here right now with an exclusive interview for the Atlanta Voice. My name is Toni Collier. I am a national Christian speaker. I get the opportunity to serve ministries like North Point Community Church under the leadership of Andy Stanley and a host of other Christian conferences across America. But that's really not what's important. What's important right now is the man of God that I get the opportunity to interview today. Toure Roberts is in the building. Not only are we going to be talking about his new project, a book called Wholeness, but we are also highlighting the fact that he's an amazing pastor of two churches, the Potter's House LA and the Potter's House Denver, alongside his amazing wife, Sarah Jakes Roberts, in the building. Now, you did hear Jakes correctly because he is also the son-in-law of Bishop T.D. Jakes, and we're just so super excited to have you here. How are you feeling today?
Tony, I'm great. It's good to be here. I think we're going to have a wonderful conversation.
We are going to have a good conversation. Now, let me just say this. I want to apologize in advance for our weather because it was cold this morning. It's hot right now, and you need a scarf for tonight.
See, I'm used to it because
Okay.
I'm LA and Denver. So I
That's
got
right.
snow on one end and sun on the other. So this
Okay.
is right. This is kind of right in the mix.
So you're in it to win it. We're in this thing, okay? Well, I'm excited. Okay, so first question I want to ask you, really getting right into the project that you've created, this work of art for the kingdom, which is incredible, Wholeness. Just tell us the book title really quickly.
It's Wholeness, Winning in Life from the Inside Out.
Yes. Now tell us why you wrote this book and why now.
I feel like every person has great potential on the inside of them. There have been books about purpose. I even wrote a book about purpose. So finding your purpose is one thing. Being free enough to lay hold of your purpose is another. And so wholeness is all about helping people to recognize the invisible boundaries that keep them from the destiny that they're trying to pursue.
Okay. I'm excited about it right now, okay? I want to have some destiny right now, okay? Okay, we're going to go a little personal for a second because, I'm sure this work of art, you poured your heart into it. We have it at home. My husband, Sam Collier, and I, we have started to skim through it. We're especially excited about that marriage chapter. Two halves don't make a whole. Is that, okay, we're gonna hop into it, though. Don't worry, we're coming for you. But I want to know, you had a rough lifestyle, as far as just growing up. You were raised by a single mother in the inner city. You barely made it out. Tell us about that experience, and then how did it shape you into who you are today, and getting to the point where you've written this book about wholeness, coming from such a broken place.
No, you're right. I was raised by Black Panthers. My mother, and I'm basically if I can say this, I was the byproduct of really two people hooking up. Wow. And so I was raised just by my mom. So I was exposed to that culture in Oakland. Then moved to Watts, and although I had a great family, everything around me was crazy. Wow. Drugs, gangs, sex early, the whole thing. It was crazy. Got shot when I was 16 years old, almost died. So for me, I think all those things have translated into my now life, basically undergirding the fact that there must have been a purpose for my life. Yeah. And that if God could spare me and develop me through all those experiences, then one, how much more does my life have purpose? And then two, how much more resourceful must I be to bring wholeness and inspiration to others?
Wow. Listen, I have to take a pivot a little bit if that's okay with you. So you just told us some pretty heavy stuff about growing up. Two Black Panthers, a product of just kind of hooking up, down in the DM type situation, Didn't have DMs back then, but you know what I mean. Y'all know what's going on. And then you were shot when you were 16. And then, we're looking at this story that you just laid out for us. And then now we're looking at you right now. Pastor, incredible husband, author, leader, Christian influencer. How did you get from that story of darkness to right now?
I think it's really the message of wholeness. It's the message of your insides determining your outsides. I think that when you're not whole, then your outsides are your outsides. There's nothing that you can do. But when you realize, even as the scripture says, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world, and you really tap into your relationship with God, seek to understand those experiences. Why did I go through that? Wow. What did I learn? And who am I connected to from a reaching standpoint as a result of it? God causes all things to work together for good. If I did not have that, then there would be no this. And so I feel like my life, I feel like I'm on my third or fourth life, and which is an inspiration because a lot of people get stuck where they are, thinking that this is what it's always going to be. But life, what I've learned about God is that he causes life to perpetually unfold. And if you will embrace the process to getting whole, on the inside, you'll look up and your outsides will match what you always may have believed was possible.
Wow. That was incredible. I'm so glad that you said that. Because the truth is, we live in a society where wholeness for us is being pulled from social media and media outlets and how many followers we have and how many likes we have, and that being a representation of what wholeness is and what being whole is. But in your words, in your experience, and what God has put on the inside of you, what would you actually describe as whole?
I think it's about the process of becoming. We think that some of the things that you describe, social media is always, it's about highlighting your doing. So everybody is highlighting their doing, and they're only highlighting the doing that they want people to see. It's not even all of their doing. So wholeness is about becoming. I believe, Jeremiah 1 says that, before I formed you in your mother's belly, I knew you, I sanctified you, or I set you apart, made you unique and distinct, and I ordained you. So before you got here, you were already worked out. And so I believe the journey to wholeness is about working out in your own life what God had already worked out before you got here. So it's true. It's true. So really, doing the work, becoming self-aware. We're in an information age, and we are so versed on everything outside of us, but completely ignorant to what's going on inside of us. And so we're aware of everything around us, but not what's in us. And so I think that the process is saying, one, chances are I'm broken somewhere. We'll say I'm not perfect, but we won't say I'm broken.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason why that's the case is that to say I'm perfect, that's you're affirmed in not being perfect. But when you say I'm broken, there is a requirement for change. I can't say I'm broken and just go on. If I'm broken, I got to be fixed. I got to be healed. I got to be whole. So it's a journey of becoming self-aware, becoming traceable, having God show you things that you couldn't see on your own, being empowered to heal. And I think that your life will flourish from that place.
I want to flourish, okay? I feel like I'm flourishing. I feel pretty good about it. I want to flourish some more, okay? What life am I on right now, Toure? It's okay. That's so good. As you were just talking, I thought about, you use that word brokenness. You use that word broken a lot. And I know in my own personal life, there are so many places of brokenness. And I think about our world right now, and all the many broken places. I mean, there's drug addiction and alcoholism, and there's just women suffering from insecurity, plain old insecurity, seeking validation, seeking accolades to fulfill them. And I mean, just poverty sometimes, not having the opportunity to get to their next level and coming from those really impoverished areas. If you were to look in the eyes or in the face of someone that says, listen, Pastor Toure, I'm broken. I have all this brokenness. I don't know. I believe it in my heart that I can get out and be healed, and I want to be whole, but I don't know how to get there. What are some practical ways that people can stare brokenness in the face and say, no, I'm going on my journey to wholeness?
Absolutely. Well, that person will have already been in the first step, and that is acknowledging. That is saying, I'm broken. And then secondly, recognizing that it's okay to not be okay. We are taught, I'm from LA, so, the industry is right there. You walk into a room and you got to be on. You have never walked into an audition or on any set and asked someone how they were doing. They said, oh, terrible. No, you got to lie. Wow. You got to lie. You got to lie. You got to say, I'm doing great. Things are going good. So we've, and not just in the entertainment industry, but in life, women as well, that some mothers taught them, this is a man's world. So you got to be, don't let them break, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Little boys were taught they couldn't cry, right? If you cried, in the neighborhood, you were weak or a punk or even, all this sort of thing. So there's been this lie that has been ingrained in us oftentimes from a very early age to not be okay, with not being okay. So having permission to say you're broken, having permission to say, here I am, and it's okay, because I think that until you can say ouch, you can never get healed, And then I think
say that right now.
And then going on this discovery, I think it's the discovery of why. We always look at, I believe in patterns, and we always look at the outcomes of our lives, the outcomes of things that take place. And we want to treat the outcome or judge the outcome or be disappointed or lack hope because of outcomes, but that outcome is connected to a pattern. So I think that we have to become traceable, asking why. I know I did that, but why did I do that? Wow. Why did I respond that way? Why do I find myself in the same situation over and over again? If my relationships aren't working, my relationships never seem to work. You got to remember, you're the common denominator in all these failed relationships. Ooh. So sometimes it's not the other person. So becoming traceable, I think that there's a lot. Giving up regret, insecurity. I talk about so many things, but to start again, acknowledging that you're broken, being okay, not being okay. And I think becoming traceable is huge so that you can get to the root of what's happening.
That's so good. Listen, I'm going to go left again. Okay. Is that okay? All right. Okay, good. Because you said something, about patterns. And for me, the biggest things that have helped me throughout life is counseling. Okay. And I get the opportunity to work with North Point Community Church, which is predominantly white. Okay. But we're bridge builders and we're, pushing diversity and we're trying to go to that next level. But I see a very distinct difference in cultures when it comes to counseling and getting help and talking about these problems with someone that sometimes you just don't know. Tell me how you feel about counseling and what would you say to someone who's like, I don't know. Do I need to see a shrink? What are you talking about? What would you say?
I know. And you're right. We do have that cultural disconnect, if you will, cultural difference. I'm all for counseling. I mean, the whole concept of wholeness is basically learning how to begin the process of self-counseling. Now, not self-counseling at the expense of counseling or seeing a therapist, but sometimes you can't get to a therapist, and there are disciplines and practices that you can employ on your own to at least begin to open yourself up, understand yourself, so that when you get into the therapist's office, you will actually, you can save you some money because it's hourly. You've already worked through.
That's good. That's so good.
But no, I believe in it. If it weren't for therapy, I wouldn't have even, honestly, I think if it wasn't for an encounter I had with the therapist once, I wouldn't have even known how real these hidden blind spots are. Wow. Yeah. So I believe in therapy. I know that in some churches, back in the day, I just need Jesus, just get the Holy Ghost. I don't need no psychiatrist. Just give me Jesus. And all that's wonderful, but Jesus works through. He actually affirmed the office of the physician. Yes. He said, those who aren't whole don't need a physician. So right there in the context of his teaching was the validation of medicine.
That is funny. That was so good. So you wear a lot of hats. We know that. We've got author, we've got father, we've got bonus dad even. We've got husband, and we've got pastor too. And I want to kind of hop on your pastor hat right now. So we know you're a pastor. I can't even imagine that weight. I mean, that is just a great thing. You're standing in the trenches for people, and you've got a congregation full of people that are in all different stages of their life. You may have some brokenness. You may have some wholeness. You may have people on the brink of wholeness. Tell us how that is for you and in talking to your congregation about those things.
Yeah, well, I really, really love people. When I was called to preach, I talk about it in the book, but one of the images that God gave me as it relates to my congregants was that I need to see them the way I see my firstborn daughter. I love all my kids the same, but there's something about that one that breaks you into the world of fatherhood. Wow. He said, I have to see every person that I talk to and I lead the same way and love them in that same way. So my love for people really guides my anointing. It compels my conversation. And part of that love is I don't want you to come short. Listen, we've only got a blink on this earth, and I don't want anything that you can see, or particularly those things you can't see, to rob you of what I know God has for you.
That's so good. So, I feel like we kind of address singles and, hey, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. Here are your practical steps. But I want to talk about married people. I am married I get all giddy because I love my husband so much. But I'm married to an incredible man of God, Sam Collier. You got the opportunity to meet him on his podcast. But there is a chapter in the book that talks about marriage. And I'm not going to lie. It slapped me in the face a little bit. I said, okay, I need to start from the beginning. I don't want to go straight here, okay? Talk about that chapter. I don't even really want to unpack it. I want it to come organically from you right now. Talk about that chapter. Talk to those young couples that may already be married, that may not have read this amazing chapter, who need to probably go back and go ahead and read it. And then the ones that aren't in marriage yet, but need to go ahead and get it.
Okay. Well, I think, the chapter is called Two Halves Don't Make a Whole. It was based on a message that I preached on YouTube. It's my most watched video.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
got like 3.1 million views.
Goodness.
Called Five Keys to Identifying Your
Yeah.
Soulmate. I wrote that during a pretty, I won't say a broken time, but I was just coming off of the heels of a real season of hurt, really, and challenge. I went through a divorce, that I never thought that I would go through. Not because the marriage was perfect,
Yeah.
but because I just felt like, God, you can fix anything, and and I'll just
Yeah.
and so so I came out of that, and I had a very vulnerable conversation about the things that I learned through getting married for the wrong reasons and getting married the wrong way.
Yeah.
And really my desire was that no one would ever go through that. Sometimes it's not that, I do think that some couples give up before they grow up. So I do think that some divorces are avoidable.
One-liners. I apologize.
Right.
They hit me
Right,
right in the
right.
soul. Okay. All right?
know.
Give up before you grow up. Okay, I'm back. All right, here we go.
You can't give up before you grow up.
Yes.
Because marriage is designed to grow you up.
Yeah.
However, you can't always put a requirement on God to bless something that he didn't do. And you just can't do that, And he can grace you with that if he wants to, but if he has something else for you, destiny and your purpose and why he created you will always be more important than anything else.
Ooh.
So that chapter I wrote to people who I wanted them to understand what they need to have before they even consider getting married.
Yeah.
The first thing was, chemistry is a given. I think that if God is bringing two people together, there's going to be some sort of chemistry between them.
Yeah.
But you can't stop at chemistry because you can have chemistry with 50 people. It's just the first step. It's just you can have chemistry based on mutual interests or what have you. And you see people, falling, quote unquote, in love at the chemistry stage and not qualifying what that chemistry is. And so the second thing after chemistry you have to have is connection. And that's when you begin to feel like, wow, this is more than just an attraction, but I'm really beginning to feel a need. I feel like we're supposed to be in each other's world. But even connection has to be qualified, because if you're broken, it can be codependency masquerading itself as love. So you can't stop at connection. You have to have wholeness. And what wholeness does is wholeness proves that it's not codependency. And one of the signs of wholeness is when you're able to actually be good by yourself. That's the test, right? Right? Can I be good with me? Can me and God? It doesn't mean that you're trying to be, an introvert, or it's not that.
Right.
It's just, am I good enough to be satisfied with God entirely until and if he brings the right person into my life? I don't think that if you can't say that, until you can say that, I don't think that you're ready. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put an unrealistic expectation on your significant other to give you something that only God was supposed to provide. So you need chemistry, connection, wholeness. Number 4 is divine confirmation. I believe that if God is bringing two people together, there are going to be signs. And not these fake signs that you make up, like if two birds fly over the air within the next 3 weeks.
We have the same birthmark. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, not that, but like true, unsolicited, God in your face moments of confirmation that says that heaven is backing up this relationship. And the last thing, the 5th thing, is a sense of purpose. I think that it is dangerous to commit your life to someone forever if you don't even know where you're going. It's not fair, because what happens if one day you are awakened to your purpose, you're awakened to the destiny that's on your life, and you realize you've made a choice that has no significance to it? You're going to do one of two things. Either you're going to sacrifice your destiny for the relationship, or you're going to sacrifice the relationship for the destiny. So just those things, but I talk about that extensively, and I believe in relationships, love, and marriage, but I believe there's a right way to do it.
Woo! We need that's a whole segment right there. I'm just like, pause. Let's just talk about relationships. That's so amazing, though. I think that's so good, and that's going to bless a lot of people. So I appreciate you for even taking the time to break that down. I really do. So sadly, we're getting ready to wrap up the interview. But one of the things I would love for you to speak into are just people that are whole currently, or they believe that they're whole, and maybe they don't know that there are some broken places. What are some signs of brokenness that they can kind of trigger? Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay.
There's a few. Insecurity is one. And it's funny because we make insecurity kind of normal. Like, I get a little, But really, if you look at what insecurity is evidence that somewhere in your mind you have embraced some untrue and negative thought about yourself. Wow. Because insecurity, the chapter of the book that deals with insecurity is called inner security. And so insecurity means that I don't have security within. Wow. And that you are vulnerable, you're dangerous. And so I think insecurity is a sign of brokenness. I think jealousy is a sign of brokenness, right? I have a quote in the book, you can never expect to receive in your own life what you are unwilling to celebrate in someone else's life. You know, so when you're broken, you're jealous. Your girlfriend is getting married, and you're like, oh, I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? But when you are so convinced of God's love for you and His plan for you, you're so whole within, you can really celebrate the successes of others. I think unforgiveness is a sign of brokenness. Unforgiveness basically says that I'm not generous. I can't extend forgiveness because I feel like what was taken from me, I can never regain. So there's several things I talk about. I even have a wholeness test that I encourage people to check out online that really helps to pinpoint some of those things too.
I love that. So let's talk about those online opportunities for people. So there's the wholeness test. You can go on there and check it out. But how can people connect with you? How can they get the book? Tell us all about it so we can get it.
Certainly. Well, if they go to Are You Whole, it's just the question, areyouwhole.com. Okay. That's the test. You can buy the book there. I'm on most social media platforms at Toure Roberts, Toure Roberts.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Thanks for braving through this weather. We appreciate it. Okay, our bipolar weather. We're excited about what you're doing. From the Atlanta Voice, you're changing lives. And you are not only allowing people to tap into their purpose, but you are allowing them to live the best versions of them through your words, through your works, and through your ministry. And I gotta say, I personally do appreciate it, and we do as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are hoping and believing that this interview will not only trigger something in you that may open your eyes to a broken part of you, but it will also encourage you to go and get this book, because this is probably and may be a very good antidote to whatever you're dealing with. And so we're so excited that you're here. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you. And we're out.